الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا ميثاق بني إسرائيل لا تعبدون إلا الله وبالوالدين إحسانا وذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وقولوا للناس حسنا وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة ثم توليتم إلا قليلا منكم وأنتم معرضون صدق الله العظيم. Regarding ayat number 83 of Surat al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has told us in the previous ayah that those who have iman, who believe and they do a'mal salihah, righteous deeds, so they will be the companions of paradise, of Jannah. And in Jannah they will have whatever their desires want and even more. And it comes in the ayat of the Quran, وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِيهِ الْأَنفُسِ. For you in Jannah there is whatever the desires, whatever you could ever desire. And this is the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what is Jannah. But there are certain requirements, certain things that are needed, certain conditions that humanity has to fulfill in order to become eligible for paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created our societies in a very unique system. And this system, this nizam that we have within our societies, within our communities, on this earth, this is a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place so that we human beings, we can understand to a much higher degree the system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He has put in place for the akhirah as well. These systems within this world, these are just examples for our understanding. And in reality, that is what this dunya is, that is what this world is. Some things we understand, some things we appreciate. The vast majority we don't even understand. Many a times we may not even agree with something in this system, but that is because we as human beings, we are very limited. There are things within this world, within this universe, and this universal system and domain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allows it to happen because in His system it is not a matter of 1 day or 2 days or 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. There are events that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in place, and they are triggers for things that will happen after 1,000 years. When you open the Quran, we find the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about His system. يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ ثُمَّ يَعْرُجُ إِلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. You go to Surah Alif Lam Mim Sajda. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He regulates the affairs of the heavens and the earth. يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He regulates the system from the heavens to the earth. Everything is regulated. ثُمَّ يَعْرُجُ إِلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. These affairs, they go up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a day that is 1,000 years of your counting. The Mufassireen have mentioned that if you look at history, you will find that there are trigger points in history. As human beings, our knowledge is very limited. If you try and go back, we may not even see the trigger points. But there are trigger points in history, things that have happened out of the norm. Often a time, in the eyes of history, there are something that are very dangerous, something that is very harmful, something that may seem as if it is a system that can even make us question the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that trigger, if you go down 1,000 years, what impact it had, what type of system it developed, one can only be marveled and amazed at the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to leave his wife and his son, Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam, in a barren desert. He fulfilled the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He left his wife, Hajra radiyallahu anha, and his infant baby son, Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam, in the open desert, biwadin ghayri dhi zar'. There was nothing there. No vegetation, no humans, open desert. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala why. He didn't question the nizam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He simply got up when he was told leave. He stood up, turned around and left. No question asked, nothing. Yes, in our understanding, we may say, what a strange human being. Why would he do something like this? But if you look at the nizam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought about from that, you start to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought Zamzam. Hajara radiallahu anha, she took control of Zamzam. They say that women don't control things. Islam has given women great rights. We don't understand. She was the one who even named it Zamzam, which means stop, stop. She was telling the water to stop, stay in one place. It controlled, came under her control. The tribes came about, they saw that there were birds searching for water. They were gathering in that area in the middle of the desert. There are birds, they can sense water, very, very far away. So they started circling that area. The tribes came, the Bedouins. They followed those birds. And they met Hajara radiallahu anha, and she said, this is my water, you can't have access to it. Everyone, they didn't touch her. They said, okay, fine. They settled there. From there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam, made him part of the tribe. And that was the tribe that started triggering. From one stage to the next, you start reading history. From there came Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. An event that may in the obvious sense seem like something very strange. How many benefits came about from it? And that is that history I'm talking. Even today, go read the history of major events in this world. You will find the trigger points were almost 1,000 years before, even more than that. The system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in place. It doesn't work in our lifetime. That is why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran, not in one place but in so many places. Also in this ayat number 83, He tells us, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. And remember when we took a covenant from the Bani Israel, أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا اللَّهِ, that you do not worship anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The concept of ibadah and also ubudiyah. Not only worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but one has to admit that they are a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In society, slaves, they did not have much intelligence. They were known as the low levels in society at that time. They did not even have their own means through which they could have their own meal or their own clothing. They were completely at the mercy of their masters. And many a times, whatever position they were given, whatever respect they were given through the mercy of their masters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the Quran has used this term abd or ibad. And the hukum, the command, Allah ta'budu illa Allah, that you do not worship anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But abd and ibad are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In society at that time when there was slavery, the slave had that status which the master had, or the master was merciful enough to give his slave. There was a merciful master who had a very, very high prestige in society. And he also liked his servants, and he realized that this slave of mine, he has displayed skill. So some of them used to even train their slaves, educate their slaves. They used to make their slaves carry out many tasks even they could not carry out, or they did not want to carry out. Even if they had to be somewhere and they did not want to be, so they were able to send their slave. And they were able to trust their slave that you do this, give him very specific commands. When that slave would show up to any meeting or go to any place, if someone questioned that slave, so the master also used to give the slave a kind of mark. You just show this, and everyone will understand who you are. And if the slave showed that mark, sometimes in the form of a ring, sometimes a stamp, whatever it was, a kind of seal that represented the master who had a very, very high position. So everyone used to understand that this slave belongs to such and such a master. Don't mess with this person. Don't touch this person. We live in a strange society. It's hard to give an example from this society. But some of us have something called a United States passport. And there are some countries that you go to, if you take it out, mashallah, you get many perks and many benefits, and even you're called Amriki, So they end up giving you many, many perks. This is kind of that, used to be a system. Why? Because now you have value in the eyes of the people of that country who are not from your country. And they realize, well, at least it used to be a mark of honor, Now, subhanAllah, I don't know how much. It used to be a type. I'm talking about used to be. People used to look up to America, what a country. A civilization of justice. We stood up for the weak. We Americans, we used to stand up for the weak. We used to stand up for the oppressed. We used to help those that were in need. What has happened to us? Where have we gone? That's why in the eyes of the world we had respect. Now, unfortunately, we all know our own history. What has happened to us? We've lost that value. Even in the eyes of the people, they've lost value for us. Well, there used to be a time. So it used to be a similar example. That's what that seal was. And many slaves, they used to take pride in that. When they had that level of respect shown to them, so they used to honor that position. They displayed unbelievable kind of character. You'll find in our history as Muslims, go find who the scholars were and what kind of khidmat, what kind of services many of these scholars gave to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm specifically talking about some of the very, very high level tabi'een. Those that were the students of Sahaba, you go find who they were. Many of them, they were the slaves of Sahaba. And what did the Sahaba used to do? They understood they did not need it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them so much. So some of the Sahaba used to take their slave to the Masjid and tie him in the Masjid. Tell them you're not allowed to leave until you learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for weeks and months, the slave having nothing else to do, free. So he used to sit there and memorize a hadith and memorize tafseer and memorize all of these, many of these ulum and funun we have today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved this deen through them. But they were given that status and that honor. And they were told, the Sahaba used to tell them, if you were given that certification that you understand this topic, that's your freedom. You become mufassir, you're free. You become muhaddith, you're free. If your life depends on it, subhanallah, what is there you won't do, When your life depends on it, many things change, The very circumstances change. Hajjaj bin Yusuf, so on a lighter note, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he was known for being a very big zalim. He was the governor of Makkah and he was the governor of Medina. He was a very, very zalim person. He was famous for his zulm. He was a very big oppressor. So one time he came for Umrah. He was doing tawaf. And there was another man, blind man, just every time Hajjaj bin Yusuf was passing by him, so the blind man, he heard the blind man saying, "Oh Allah, give me eyesight. Oh Allah, give me eyesight." This was his dua. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf did one tawaf, he heard this man, second tawaf, third tawaf. After his seventh tawaf, he said, "What is this man doing here?" So he walked up to the man and he said, Are you okay? What kind of dua is this? Well, how long you've been sitting here and you're making this dua, give me eyesight, give me eyesight, give me eyesight. The man looked at, the man couldn't see. He said, "I'm blind, go mind your own business, leave me alone." Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he said, "Do you know who I am?" The blind man said, "I don't care." He says, "Okay, let me tell you, I'm Hajjaj." He said, "Hajjaj who?" He said, "Ibn Yusuf." The man, he said, "I am so sorry." He completely melted. He said, "I'm so sorry, I cannot see, please, I'm blind, and I didn't mean any kind of disrespect." And he knew Hajjaj what. He said, "The reason I make it is that I'm blind, Hajjaj bin Yusuf said, "How long you been sitting here?" He said, "For 10 years. Hajjaj bin Yusuf said, "You must have a very, very hard life. Here, let me make it easy for you. It's night time, we just pray the Isha, no problem. Tomorrow, I'm going to come. And if you don't have eyesight, I'll make your life very easy. I will kill you. That way, you don't forget eyesight. I'll take you out of your misery, Worst thing, Allah will give you Jannah for me killing you. You'll go to Jannah. So you'll have all the eyesight you need, So Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he came back the next day and the man ran up to him. "Oh Hajjaj, I can see," big eyes, I can see, Hajjaj bin Yusuf said, "What happened? You got your eyesight?" He said, "It's a miracle. I can see actually, I can actually see." Hajjaj bin Yusuf said, "You see, this is called dua with ikhlas." He said, "For 10 years you were just sing-song. Oh Allah, give me eyesight." It's just rhythm, He said, "Since yesterday your life depended on it. I know what kind of dua you must have made." Sometimes when our life depends on something, the whole circumstance change, So these slaves, when they were tied up in the masajid and told that your freedom depends on you learning these topics, along with learning those who were in the suhbah and in the companionship of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, how it changed them and molded them. They became different people, became scholars of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what the aspect and the concept of slavery. And today the names you find in the books of ahadith or in the books of tafsir. When you take the names, if you go back and research the life of this person, you'll be surprised that he used to be a slave of some sahabi. But this is the status slaves used to have, depending on the mercy of the master. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us believers, you accept me as your Rabb, you become my abd. And as Muslims, we are to become the Ibadur Rahman, the Ibadullah, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because on one side you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's Al-Khaliq, the ultimate creator, Al-Malik, the ultimate king, Malikul Mulk, the king of kingdoms, Malikul Muluk, the king of kings. Just imagine what an honor it is to be a slave of Allah, to be a slave of that being. But to accept that first, you have to say, Rabbi Allah, my Rabb is Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the ayat of the Quran, Inna alladhina qalu Rabbuna Allah. Those who say our Rabb is Allah. This is a statement very easy on the tongue, but it's a statement that is very difficult for the heart to accept. Why? Because as human beings, we have a sense of self-pride. That I am someone. I am. This statement, I am, is a very dangerous statement. So this is, as human beings, we grow up with this sense. So we're not ready to accept that someone owns us or somebody controls us. But it is this very, very simple subject, a very, very simple understanding, that if we were to understand it, it will become easy for us to understand why we have to accept the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are many ahkam we may not understand, our logic may not understand. But that does not mean that we should not implement those subjects or those kind of ahkam in our life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this honor, this ummat. That He has given us the honor of being Ibadur Rahman, being Ibadullah. the servants and slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the slaves of Ar-Rahman. But it starts with taking this and understanding this very, very simple system, Rabbi Allah, that my Rabb is Allah. This was the claim of every single Nabi that came. Every single prophet that came. The first claim was, Rabbi Allah, my Rabb is Allah. Even when they gave da'wah to their people, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the da'wah that he gave to his people, he told his people regarding the idols they were worshipping, فَإِنَّهُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِي إِلَّا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. He told them that all these idols you are worshipping, they are my enemy except for Rabbul Alameen. And what is Rabbul Alameen? So Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he started explaining, الَّذِي خَلَقَنِي فَهُوَ يَهْدِينِي, that being who has created me. And he has given me hidayah, guided me. There are many things we don't realize how we even use them. Who taught us how to use them? This is from Rabbul Alameen. وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِي, that being that feeds me and gives me to drink. Many, many favors he mentioned, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam mentions. One of the many meanings of the name of Rabb, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Mun'im, Al-Mu'ti, is that being that gives favors without limit. And he even gives it to those who don't even deserve it. This is Rabb. How many things in our life do we have? If we were to analyze, we realize we don't even deserve this. This is from the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His karam, from His grace, that He is Rabb, Rabbul Alameen. Not only this, another meaning of Rabb is that being who takes, what meaning of Rabb is, that takes a person from one stage to the next stage till they get to maturity or they become an expert at something. How many things in our life Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us experts in. Otherwise, there are many who went through the same stages, went through the same thing, and where are they? They're not even close to where we are. Who has given us this favor? Many of us were able to remember things, we're able to document skills. Things we may not even be able to remember, they become muscle memory, they become instinctual. We don't even realize how many things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made so easy for us. But there are people who would not like that. Things in our life Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made so easy. There are people who can't even understand many of these things. There's a reason we call them experts. They do things instinctually, they don't even realize how they're doing it. And you ask them how they do it, they have to stop and think about, okay, hold on, how am I doing this? Then they can explain to you. You'll find many experts in their field. You ask them how they're doing. They have to stop and have to think about how they're doing. Otherwise, you go see an expert in his comfort zone when he's working. Go see a surgeon doing surgery. Or go see a programmer when he's programming. They'll be sitting in front of the computer staring at the screen and their fingers are going. And you even know what you're typing and you just, they're going and going. And you ask them, how you do this? To them, it's like driving a car. How many times you sit in the car? When you're learning to drive the car, they tell you, okay, you put your hand at 3 and 9 and you put your PRMD. And how many of us even think of doing that when we sit in the car? They're just formalities. Now we just get in the car, we don't even realize how we're driving. We're more worried about where we're going. If we don't have a GPS, sometimes we end up somewhere else. But they're instinctual. We don't even know how we're driving. We're just driving. Everything is so easy. Where did this come from? This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rabbi, is that being that takes us to that stage of expertise where we don't even think about it. Again, coming back to Al-Mun'im, that being who gives us those favors, we don't even deserve to have those kind of favors. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes our lives so easy. So on one side you have to accept Rabb, on the other side you have to be able to trust, have that level of trust. There are some people, when they want to learn from someone, and they go to a teacher or they sit in front of a teacher. When the teacher starts teaching them, they start from a very elementary level and they start teaching them and teaching them. So sometimes the person, they become, why are you teaching me this? When are you going to teach me the high level? One of the brothers came to us and said, we want to learn qira'ah and tajweed, to become a qari. You say, okay, mashallah. You brought him, you started teaching him. He didn't know how to, alif ba ta tha, so it started with him and slowly taught him alif ba ta tha. I started reading with him, he started reading the Quran. So the question is, he said, when am I going to become a qari? He said, brother, you have a long way to go. But he didn't have the patience to wait, unfortunately. And many of us become like this. Become frustrated. When do I become like, it sounds so beautiful, when I become like Shaykh Abdul Bashit or Shaykh al-Minshawi and you become so great in the world, brother, yeah, your intentions are wrong. But where you start from. So sometimes we don't have the patience to allow the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to work in our life. We become impatient. And when we become impatient, then we start asking, why me? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala putting me through this in my life? That's the wrong question. We should be asking is, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching me now? In all of this situation, these tests that I'm being tested with, these conditions that I'm being tested with, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching me? Because if I don't go through this, later on in life, there'll be a problem. There are some things, if you don't take care of them on time, later on they become a very serious problem, And this is how things work in this world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, takes us from one stage to the next stage. Whatever we can handle. There are many things we can't handle. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He never burdens a person more than they can handle. So one stage to the next stage, slow and steady, you're growing and growing and growing. But if you become impatient, what can happen? There are many in various fields in this world, they become impatient. And they're almost at the end. It happens a lot with very, very high-skilled, when you get to the high-skilled fields are very highly skilled, like medicine or law, or a person who goes through college and then goes to the medical school or law school or engineering school. And they go almost the last 1-2 semesters left, and the person, he can't handle it anymore. He just gives up. And all those years he's been studying is finished. There's not one case. How many cases are out there like this? Because we don't have the patience. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts us through many things. We have to check, do we have the patience? And if someone says, oh, this system is wrong, I'm going to reinvent this system, the way they're teaching is wrong. First of all, how do you know? You're not even an expert in the field. Similarly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes we question the way He's doing things in our life. We have to always remember, وَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ, put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First and foremost, He knows, we don't know. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows, you don't know. Be patient. Show that resilience. And show that istiqamah. Be steadfast. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting you through, just be firm. And be such a person. There was one man who he was climbing a very tall mountain, and people at the bottom of the mountain had gathered and they were shouting at him, "You're not gonna make it. Nobody has ever done this, and nobody has ever made it." And anyhow, he made it to the top. And when he came back down, the people asked him, "How did you do it? All these people were saying you couldn't do it." He said, "What people? I didn't hear a thing, So they asked him, "What's your secret?" He said, "That is the secret. Stop listening to everyone. Just focus on your goal." He said, "My goal was to get up there. I don't care what these people are saying, He said, if I stop and try to answer each one, I can't do it. I'm doing it, I'm going to waste my time, waste my energy." That's the way that's why wise people, they don't care about what people are saying. They keep their goal in front of them and they keep going. They don't care. Similarly, as believers, we should also be like this. We should put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and keep your goal. Whatever people are calling us, whatever people are saying about it, be firm, boss. Whatever happens, don't break the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you will see. Then you will see where and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us from one. This is what is ibadah also. That trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be firm. And know and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever He is putting me through is for my benefit. In the end, I will see the result. Results you never see in the beginning. You never see the result. Nobody gives you a degree first and say, "Come now, let's study." What will happen? We'll run with the degree. Why I need to study? I got the degree. You get the degree at the end. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He put us through various ahwal. Be firm. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever happens, just keep your goal in front of you, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وأدخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجلنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان الله وبحمده. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك.